Welcome, everybody. It's Kristina Wolf here, and this is another episode of Energy Mastery, Creating Systems that Support Your Best Life. And today we have with us Jacqueline Morasco. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do, Jacqueline?
Sure. So, as Kristina said, my name is Jacqueline Morasco, and I'm the owner of Spirited Practice. And I have been using yoga and meditation and maybe considered like sort of mystical practices to help people create the lives that they want. And I like to think about people taking little steps that make really great changes in their life. And the way that I do that is through rituals and routines. And that's something, that I've been doing for most of my adult life. But I didn't actually pull it all together until a couple of years ago when I realized, this is what I'm doing. And this is what can really make a difference in my life and other people's lives.
Wow. And I love that rituals routine idea, because if you're not conscious about it, you're still in some form of a routine, but maybe it's a dysfunctional one and it's not working for you. So
exactly. I mean, think about how many times you brush your teeth and you're like, did I brush my teeth? Or,
right. Or, the people who are chronically late, like how do they always wind up somehow always exactly 10 minutes late? But, it's like, so tell me a little bit more about how you create those rituals for your clients.
Well, and I mean, it's definitely it was an organic process for me to, with a mixture of yoga and Ayurveda, which is a sister science to yoga, and through my meditation practice and trying different things. It was really a lot of trial and error, what works. Over the years, I boiled it down, and not necessarily all on my own. But the idea is to figure out what habits you have and, then decide, what habits do I need to change? So for some people, they'll call me up and I'll be, so what do you want to work on? They're like, I don't know, my life is a mess.
Right.
And so then we have to kind of, tease through it and figure out what habits they really need to change or they need to bring into their life. And I believe that you need to bring in good habits before you can really let go of all the old ones. Because a lot of times people are like, I have to stop doing this. I have to stop, I have to be on time. And so we start, building in the positive traits and the not so positive habits start to fall away, So I would say definitely small steps. And writing it down, figuring out how you're going to do it. And that's what I like to help people do, because they're like, I want to be here. How do I get over here from where I am now? And I think that's people can see the end goal, but they can't always see the steps in the middle to get there. And so I help them figure out what those steps might be.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, not to stop the bad habits first, because I think for some people, they're in that chaotic tailspin and they don't know where to start. It's like being on a merry-go-round and they're like, how do I get off of this merry-go-round to start, to bring some, order and organization in my life. And I totally agree with you that it's like, if you start finding that one simple practice and build off of that, it kind of creates a rhythm for you that the rest of your chaos can kind of work around and come together. And yeah, it definitely is a cumulative effect. Yeah,
and there are two things I think I really help people with, and one of them is connecting with their own intuition. So it's my belief we all have intuition, and some of us over the years have forgotten how to connect with it, or that to trust it and to know that it's ours and that it's coming from spirit or whatever you believe in. And the other thing is to be grounded.
Yeah.
And I've actually, I have clients and friends who say they like talking to me just because it helps them to feel grounded again, So,
right.
So learning how to be in your body.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you were saying too about taking the time to create that vision. It's like when they're talking to you, they're getting that groundedness because that's a distinct time they set aside to think about what they're doing, because who really goes, today I'm going to sit down and think about my habits? And unless they're very disciplined, then that's a very hard topic to do. It's really hard, especially if you're very busy and have a chaotic lifestyle, to create that space to sit and be quiet and really think it through. Yeah.
That's so funny, because one of the first things I ask people to do is, sometimes I use tarot cards. If people don't feel comfortable with them, we can come up with another process. But the first thing is to create a little morning ritual to set your intention.
Yeah.
And it can be anything. And I sometimes people say you have to do it this way, and I'm like, no, you have to make it your own.
Right.
So like for me, I get up, I light a candle, I sit for a moment, I shuffle up my cards, and I connect to spirit, and I pull a card, and I say before I pull the card, what do I need to focus on, or what do I need to hear today? I pull the card and look at it, and sometimes read the words, sometimes look at the picture, and then sit for 5 minutes. And I always say set a timer so you don't have to worry about, how long. If you don't have 5 minutes, make it 2, and then set your, for those, couple of minutes, set your intentions. How do you want to feel throughout the day? What do you want to get accomplished? And for me, like that really sets the tone for the whole day. And so some people will say, I just don't have 2 minutes in the morning. And so I'm like, well, get up 2 minutes earlier and do this. You can do it in 2 minutes and change the course of your day.
Yeah. And in my personal experience, I was that person, I don't have 2 minutes in the morning. But when you finally create that time, you start really craving that time and needing it. I don't want to say needing it, but like requiring it to feel grounded, and you look forward to it. And you're like, I need to add more time, so it's like, but it's good to start small. And, for me, when I was totally living in the chaotic, no groundedness, the idea of 2 minutes was so much easier than, people are saying, I spend an hour and a half meditating every morning, and I'm thinking, okay, that's not going to happen, but then when I started doing the practices, I'm thinking, yeah, an hour sounds very doable. Like, why not? You start really building that worthiness that this time is important for me. And if I don't put this into my daily routine, then everything else gets like thrown off. The energy that I'm in is the jumping off point for the day isn't right. So yeah, I've seen a theme definitely about creating a morning ritual, some form of quiet time or space to really get clear, even just quiet your mind altogether. That's when you start receiving the ideas, the intuition.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And, and then the other piece is when you do it repeatedly, then you can start to trust it.
Yes.
Because at first you hear it, and you're like, well, is this real? Where's this coming from? And then it's like you start to see it play out in your life, in your day, and then it's like, yeah, this is real, and so then you continue to do it, and you trust it, and you start to notice wonderful changes.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about your personal journey. I know you have a pretty interesting one.
Well, so I came to yoga. I through this process, I got sober when I was 21, which is quite some time ago now, and I couldn't sit still. My emotions were all over the place. I could giggle and I could cry. I was really uncomfortable around people, and I don't even know how I came across it. I've thought about it a lot, but I found this book about yoga, and I started to do it, and it started to help. And I had been a dancer earlier on in my life, and so I really connected with my body, and that I never thought like now I would still be doing yoga, so it's kind of interesting. And there have been, different things that have happened over the years, where I stopped for a little while or whatever, but I've always come back to it. But then I thought, I can't make a living doing this. This was way before yoga studios were all over the place. And so I went to college and I became a teacher, and I feel like that enhanced what I do now, because I taught for over 20 years and it really helped me to hold space, which I didn't even know what that term meant. And to read energy and to understand it. I was a science and a health teacher, and I worked mostly with middle school students, and they're an energetic group.
Yes.
And so I feel like all of that came together to make me who I am, and to allow me to offer what I offer today.
Yeah. I love how like life experiences help us get to where we're at now to heal other people. That's really good. So when you were talking about yoga and you said, well, I didn't think I'd always be doing it. Tell me what that means. Like, did you think, oh, it's a trend or whatever, and then you came to realize it's like really important?
Well, it's funny because it was before yoga was a trend, right? I really was looking for a way to be able to communicate with other adults. I was 21. I didn't see myself really fitting in on the planet, and the more I did yoga, the more I felt like I really had a purpose here, and that I fit in. But I didn't see it as a lifelong. I didn't see it as a lifestyle, a lifelong journey. It was really about in that moment,
Yeah, because it really is, from what I understand, like you're saying that Ayurveda is like a sister science to it, and many other modalities use similar energy medicine or like some sort of structure around the body and energy, and no other modern medicine doesn't really address that or anything. And I think so many of our current issues are spiritual in nature, like energetic in nature. And there's just like, I think we talked about this before, that there's this whole group of people in our population who aren't even aware of their feelings. Never mind, like some people may feel like, I know I have a lot of stress that I'm holding it in my body, and they're at that point. But there's people who they're not even in, when you say I'm in my body, they don't know what that means. So
absolutely,
really important to be talking about all this, to get it out there to the population, because there's definitely a wisdom there that we could tap into. Tell me more about that. I know you're very skilled in that.
Yeah. So I know when I talk to some people, I'm a college professor as well, and I teach yoga and meditation. And one of the things we focus on is energy, and everything is energy. And I'm a scientist by nature, and science tells us that everything is energy. and that energy can't be, created or destroyed. It just changes form. And, Chinese medicine and Eastern Indian medicine, Ayurveda, they focus on that. The main focus is on our energy system. And I mean, all the systems working together, but making sure that your energy is flowing, your prana or your chi. And I think it's interesting that in the West, we are just starting, and it is in some modern medicine, doctors and scientists are really starting to understand this more. But I do think I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this. Like, getting people to be in their body first is the first step, because how are you supposed to know how your energy feels if you don't even know how your body feels?
Yeah.
And that's why I think the movement and breathing is really good to get people in their body. And it doesn't have to be yoga, but movement, like thoughtful, conscious movement. Like
walking or
absolutely. Walking in nature is wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. And the other little piece I was going to add was basically, whether you believe it or not, it's there. It's kind of like electricity. You can't really explain it or whatever, but it's there. So we're just harnessing it at this point. And now I'm seeing a lot of this. I don't know if you find this true, but you were saying science is now proving true all of these ideas that people were considering like a mystical idea about the energy and how the body gives off energy waves. And they've actually measured your heart waves and brain waves. And it's really fascinating all how science is now they're all both coming together to work in concert. And
yeah, I think it's really amazing that these yogis, these masters, lived in the caves, and they found all this stuff out through their personal practices.
mm-hmm.
And there have been, lots of critics and skeptics, and I love that science is proving that we have energy centers. They have measured the chakras in the body.
Yes.
And I love working at a university, because when I get skeptical students, they go and they find me research.
Yes.
So I've been gathering research too. So when people ask me, I don't give them the studies, but I can send them that way, because I think it's really important for people. Like you can't always see what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You can start to learn to feel it, but know that it's really there.
Right. Yeah, because gravity works whether you understand it or not.
That's right. We would certainly know if it went away.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more. You have a 6-month program that you work on with your clients. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So it's a 6-month program that focuses on creating rituals and routines in your life. And so we use the different things that I've talked about today. There is yoga and meditation, there's tarot cards, there's using the cycles of the moon and understanding your personal energy, connecting with your intuition. And because it's online, and then we have live calls, so that people can ask questions, and we do ritual and ceremony on those calls as well, so that people can experience it in a group, because it's a much different experience when you're working by yourself than when you're in a group. And so I went through. We just are finishing our first 6 months, and the new program will begin again on March 1st. And I'm really excited about it, because the results that people have had, it's been pretty amazing. They're like, I'm not sure which part of this made the biggest change, but I know that all of these different things have made a difference in my life. And the thing is that you can do change in a moment, but I love doing change over time.
Yeah.
It gives you time to see the results, and if you're not getting results, check in and say, like, what can we do differently to make this, really work for me? Right.
And I was going to add to that, as an entrepreneur, and other healers and coaches, they often talk about, well, let me just do, a 90-day coaching program or whatever. But they're finding that you need, most people already know all the information, but they need that coaching to help them apply it and sustain it, get into that habit of really working it. And like you're saying, it's a cumulative effect. You don't really know exactly which piece or why it clicked, but it all comes together.
Yeah. And I used a coach. So I had said earlier, I had taught for over 20 years, and I resigned from teaching school, and decided I wanted to have a business. And I found that it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, just starting a business, because my skills are in the teaching arena. And so I had a coach for the last 2 years to help me, learn business and marketing and, social media and presence and being able to speak and lots of different things. And it's been really amazing, the change that I have had, so I had my rituals and routines supporting me, but I didn't have those business skills, and I'm still developing them,
Yeah. And it's really, and what I have found, it's really important to build a community of support, because it's very easy to feel isolated as an entrepreneur, like a solopreneur, you're
absolutely
one man army here, but that's not the case. I think almost everyone I've spoken to has had a coach themselves, in order to help them coach somebody else. And I love that community idea, that generosity of spirit, that whole coming together, because I think it's important to know we're not alone. We're not alone. There's other people out there doing what we need to do, and we need you. We need you to get your special gift out there. So yeah, that's very important. So we're right at our 20 minutes. So I wanted to have our listeners find a way to get back to you if they want to check out your new program or just learn more about what you do. What's your website?
So my website is spiritedpractice.com. And if you go there and sign up for my newsletter, you will receive a 20-page booklet on how to create rituals and routines for the morning. And for some people, that's like a lot to bite into, but everything that you need to get started is there. And then if you're interested in the program, it's mind-body-alchemy. And that will lead you to the page that gives all the information about mind-body alchemy.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today, Jacqueline. I know our listeners are going to get so much out of this. And
Kristina, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really love the opportunity to talk to people about what I do and about how it might help them.
Yes, absolutely. We need to get the word out more, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much again. And everybody, bye for now. Okay, take care.
Bye. Thanks.